Hello, this is KRBrickBot again, and I guess I'm going through these Season 10 Carbots in chronological appearance, as this appeared after Jack's suit bang, but should have appeared before him because this was originally from Season 9, but was pushed to Season 10 because of sudden mid-season animation revamp. Guardiant. Of course, it's a pretty tall box to hold the robot mode. It's a similar layout to Ultimax's box, the mechanical plating, the plates on the side, the logo there, the multiple modes here. The background is a grid transitioning into a city layout, city background this time. The automatic combinations gimmick. Quote, there's the word mark, Guardiant, Dumpy plus Bropy, his main character shtick. Ages 6 and up because spring-loaded bits warrants 3 more years of age than the recommended 3 years apparently. Or 4 years. The little bots and the other side is the big bot. The bottom affair, pretty plain. More images and highlighting the included cube pack. And the English name right there, Guardiant. Although kind of obstructed, but yeah, you can make it out. Yep, early into 2021. And we've got essential stickers of stripes and symbols. Stickers. Starting off with a little guy, Dumpy. One of the few explicitly kid Carbots. One of the few Carbots that's explicitly a kid with a kid voice. Nothing says kid appeal robot character more than a character that's actually a relatable kid. That was just another joke. Dumpy is a fine, he's an okay character in the show. It's not an overbearing kid character. He's a pretty competent kid character. Just a character that sounds like a kid. The toy is an all-blue police car. I mean, it's just a very generic police car. It's not a really regional police car. I mean, this thing hardly looks like a police car if it wasn't for these little sirens. This little white, red, and blue painted in. Yeah, nothing else really makes it look like a police car. Maybe except the bull bars, but that's really hard to make out. And also, those police sirens are blocked by this big unsightly hinge. This slightly stylized hinge on one side, I mean, yeah, it's a functional hinge. But it looks really obtrusive. It kind of looks like a tiny little camping sack, a little tent roll on a police car. But that's not intentional, so yeah, that's really unsightly because of the gimmick. Also, especially this little button here, that's also unsightly. Yeah, so if you ignore that top section, I suppose the rest of the car is pretty toyetically fine. Little 5-spoke wheels. Slightly detailed windows, unpainted windows. I guess these could be just reinforced solid windows. Little cuts and vents on the side, and some rather thick car handlebars. Golden rear tail lights, the license plate section, a tiny little spoiler. It's a rather narrow spoiler, not sure how well that functions. Well, it does have a use for it. And those silver painted headlights that go over and have a little notch in them, and yeah, short little hood. Yeah, I mean, it's very unusual police car. It's a very short, cute little police car. Also, a very clean underside. Dumpy works with the mainline car scale as a smaller little scout car. I mean, it's wide enough. I guess I determine the scale of these little cars by their width. If it's smaller than this, it's a smaller scale. But yeah, but if it's as wide as these kind of cars, yep. This is in this scale. This is not exactly in-show scale, but it's close enough. It's a little cute scout car. I guess its smaller size could have some advantages. Unlike this little die-cast jungler, Dumpy has a robot mode. So that's a big plus. I suppose the best thing to do first is unlatch the legs. It has some spring-loaded bits. Fold those arms down and flip down the chest plate to lock it in. Dumpy is the very definition of dumpy. Dumpy is dumpy. Just really living up to the name there, just as literal as it gets. Being short and stout Dumpy, I guess Dumpy is looking rather cute, a little junior police officer. Well, it's police because there's a Carbot police sticker. And his little head, it looks like a rounded police cap. It looks like a blend of the police motorcycle helmet and the cap with the brim, with a pentagonal gold crest there and some gold painted eyes and faceplate. Little sunken cheeks. Some more gold, like the gold on the chest here. The back is also looking pretty dumpy. The misproportioned legs with all the kibble hanging on the back. Nothing really much going forward. As you can see, the spoilers are now the feet. With these little Mercury heel wings. You'll see what they are later. And a bit of splash of red in there. But yeah, I guess it's as a little small complimentary gimmick. I think this is fine. It's not the thing you'll be getting this thing for primarily. Well, then again, it could. People like to have the Transformers and not just vehicles and Transformer. Yeah, this is more appealing than Ultimax already. And you see, articulation's not that much. The shoulders are on inward shoulder joints just for transformation. And so is this a shoulder shrug. But at least it has an extra full 360 around shoulder joint. No ball sockets there. Nice down the legs. Full splits. With a little square stopper there. Forward that much. And no back at all. There's a dedicated stopper here to keep this leg from going back. And the knee just goes as far as it does to transform. And that's the basic articulation, so it's not just the individual robot mode with a brick. But yeah, a little dumpy bot with dumpy articulation. Bringing in Dumpy's big partner, Bropy. Another fictional fire truck, even more fictional looking than the other hellokarbot fire trucks. It's a pretty big one. They got a double barrel hosed fire truck. Pretty good range for the fire hosing, double hose firing action. Really ratcheted sides. Don't look on the insides. I mean, at least the top is filled in at least. There's some detailing on the sides, like on here, there's the fire rescue tampograph there. Pretty generic fire rescue. Universal fire rescue. Some molded drawers and buttons and doohickeys and a little ladder going into this tiny door. Into these little cockpits here. Yeah, I guess this looks like a decently sized fire truck if someone could get in there. I guess someone just magically squeezes through these doors to get into the cockpit. On the back. Not much going around here, but at least there is some stuff like these gold rear headlights, the rear gold tail lights, some rather obtrusive robot bits, and a back sticker with the Maltese cross with the Carbot symbol in it. This is a very futuristic concept looking fire truck front. Like 4 tiny little windows, these very sloped windows, little headlights, Carbot symbol there, and a big honking gap in the front. Really looks like it'll catch a lot of debris in the front. I mean, this is not very design functional. This is something for a bulldozer, but yeah, just because of how the gimmick works, you just have some wheels that stick out way in front of the cab. I guess functionally, if this was just a vehicle, they would just go back here so that this slope, this really boat slope, would have room to clear some stuff out of the way, but as it is, these wheels stick out, so that's good for catching something. Like a trigger. Like the trigger that's right here. But at least they have little wirings in there, so that's part of the intentional design. Also, yeah, this thing kind of flops. Yeah, the front and back ends don't exactly line up together. They don't sit flush on the flat surface. So you're gonna have a little wobble. Just because of just how strong some of these spring joints are. Yeah, so the front wheels don't move. Though I suppose this could be fine for getting a little higher traction on rougher surfaces, but that's not the best looking. Unlike Ultimax, which I think might be in scale or a little too big or a little too big for the mainline scale, I'm happy to put Bropy into the mainline scale, just like a little average sized car and a big fire truck, along with other big fire trucks. Got a couple of fire trucks here, some big fire trucks. Yay, fire trucks. Kids love fire trucks. Now getting into Bropy's individual robot mode. Flip these out. Clip them together. Extend that long neck. Flip out the front feet. Flip up these sides so as to expose the feet. And take this back section and hinge it down. I mean, there's really no satisfying way to... concluding way to line this up. Just, yeah, the feet don't tilt backwards in this, so you're just gonna have to do what you like. Yeah, tippy toe, I guess you could go tippy toe, or you could just flip this out. Yeah, I guess this is more solid. Bropy in his Brachiosaurus dinosaur robot dinosaur mode. Yeah, if that wasn't enough, this is a sauropod carbot dinosaur thing. Yeah, just a fire truck that turns into a dinosaur. That's wild. Yeah, I guess that's a sauropod looking head. I guess being white and rigid and all, it looks like a rather skeletal dinosaur head, especially with that big gaping hole in the dinosaur neck. Also, yeah, I mean, it's decently articulated hinge. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's as low as you can go. Yeah, that's as low as you can go. Because these shoulder hinges were not designed to go all the way forward and back. Not 180, just 90. Just less than 90. Also, yeah, robot fists just sticking out right there. Just hanging out back there. No way to hide them or conceal them whatsoever. And for some reason, there's a dedicated hexagonal space for the stickers for these EMT medical symbols. The staff of Asclepius, or the bronze snake, as I thought it was. But yeah, I mean, why is this symbol on the dinosaur neck and only visible in this mode? I mean, it's covered up in the hose mode, so I guess it's showing to save lives when Bropy uses his dino mode as a ladder. Unlike typical fire trucks, he just turns into his dino mode to act as an extending ladder. Hey, as long as it's not a humanoid robot, he's still a robot in disguise. Well, yeah, this was kind of in the show, but not to that extent, so yeah, I guess you can have a rolling dino mode. Or like a rolling mobile dino-shaped fire ladder mode. As bogus as Bropy's Brachio mode is, I still think this is a little better than TMP's T-Rex mode. I mean, I guess the head looks more like the robot dinosaur than this rather big blocky thing. I mean, only the tiny little arms and the head and the stature are really selling it as a T-Rex, but I guess the neck is really more selling it because the legs don't look much more brachio, but at least it has more articulation. Yeah, you can do a little handshake on these clip hinges. Yeah, these have clip hinges, but I guess they're not load bearing, so I guess that's fine. I mean, as long as you don't force it too long, you'll pop it off. You won't pop it off, but besides the point, I mean, this has a little more articulation in the dino legs than TMP, which can only do a side split. Just to the nature of it, yeah. Dino fight, Robo Dino fight.
나는 우리 동네를 지키는 카봇 가디언트. 작고 빠른 이동 순찰차 덤피와 느리지만 힘이 강한 소방 사다리차 브로피가 합체를 해서 가디언트가 되지. 덤피는 경찰 로봇으로 변하는데 작은 꼬마 숙류처럼 제잘제잘 수다를 떨며 참견하는 것을 좋아하고, 브로피는 브론토사우루스로 변신하는데 말이나 행동은 느려도 책임감 강하고 언제나 덤피를 챙겨주지. 어디선가 누군가에 무슨 일이 생기면 나 가디언트가 나타나 우리 동네를 지킨다. 다른 것은 용서해도
Now for the third trick. Combination plus. Oh yeah, one important thing about Dumpy is you have to lock in the panel to cover his face. Individually, with or without that thing, this thing rolls fine, but in addition to covering that up, that really unlocks a key point in the auto transformation. So let's try that again. Yeah, just spring load those things back down on this gear. Click that in and the little wings. Also, for some strange reason, these wings are a separate piece. So if the connection's kind of loose, I mean, this one is fine, but this one got loose. I think if this thing sprung out too much, it'll pop off. So some reckless kids might lose this. And the important thing on Bropy is I think you just have to push it down a little bit so that you hear a soft click and that it goes below these little ridges. Which doesn't make it completely flat, but flatter than a slight spring-loaded mistransformation. Yeah, just push it all the way down until you hear enough soft clicks. So that's the first step. That momentum roll really also kicks the arms back. So to finish it up, fold back the ladder hoses. And flip out the feet on the knees and on the thighs and the hips. Flip out the feet, split them apart. Guardiant. Yeah, Guardiant's pretty dumpy as Dumpy. I mean, that's a really weirdly proportioned robot with a very long torso, pretty big head, pretty big kibble sticking in the front and the back. I mean, especially in the front. And short little legs and stubby little arms. I mean, that is not a really heroic, a really awesome looking proportioned robot. This is, well, at least there is still detailing to be found. Like all the various bumps and ridges and shapes in the legs and thighs. And the little gold buttons here, I mean, they look like they're the same similar design. Yeah, so that's some consistency. And those diamond shaped knees with those stickers on. Screw holes. Really short arms, but yeah, there's still detailed arms, and the shoulders, like the really the ridged hose in there. Stickered shoulders. And I suppose these were the smokestacks, and the wings. I guess the tiny little wings just spreads out his silhouette a little more. I mean, they're just a little extenuate, but I guess they do add a little more flair. Yeah, and there's also a lot of ridges, and these ridges, they really do look like tank treads, but yeah, they don't really tread. Yeah, the back, nothing much going in the back, it's just all the kibble. And the new combined robot head is looking a little wide. I mean, it's another take on the faceplate. The little tip of his nose might be a little nicked from auto transforming all the time. Looks like he has a tiny little faceplate and a little extruding chin guard thing. It's a tiny little squash faceplate with those other sunken in cheeks, and his gold head crest with a big gaping hole in there because it's a locking hinge, and also the locking hinge just really, it just sticks out like that in front of his face. Here, at least there's the little wings. There's the little wings which form the side horns. I guess that's just to spruce it up, just to make sure this thing just doesn't look like a little ugly little robot, short little dumpy head encased in some robot legs, some little short legs. Yeah, also this is pretty gappy. Without Dumpy, yeah, you just can see just some sort of hollow things. I mean, what is this thing without Dumpy? It's a little, doesn't really look like a mech suit. I mean, I guess you could have someone right in there like that. I mean, but that's a really silly looking mech suit, if it was a mech suit. Another critical flaw is that this thing can tip over easily. I mean, it's not top heavy. I mean, of course it's pretty top heavy, but as itself, it can stand, but it doesn't really have that enough back support to make sure this thing doesn't topple over with a strong push. It does have the permanently molded A stance there, like across the black piece and the feet. But it looks like 2/3 of the foot is only on the ground, while 1/3 of it is raised. And the back kibble just doesn't sit flush on the ground. So yeah, the rounded feet without the back providing much support just makes this teeter-totterable. Just lots of teeter-totter. Also, yeah, really ugly back kibble. And really ugly front kibble with this trigger. Yeah, this is not a locking hinge. I mean, these are the tiny little negligible locking hinges prevalent on every Transformer with locking legs. I mean, you have to have these. But this is really unsightly just because this is the mechanism that Bumpy has to crash into to bump this button into this button, which this is the whole central thing which unlatches everything. But yeah, he just left with a big knee bump, a big ugly knee bump. Yeah, that does not look good. Not sure what else they could have done. Just maybe just smaller buttons, just smaller symmetrical buttons on both sides. Yeah, I guess that could have worked, but yeah, instead it's just one piece, just one slightly spring-loaded piece with this little trigger. But would you rather have a knee hang nail or a block dong that's not even on the dong? This is the dong, but it's this block is just between the knees. I mean, which I'll take this over this. And I'll also take Guardiant's articulation over Ultimax's just army-only brickticulation. For one, he has the full shoulder swivels. Watch out for the wings. And just 2 clicks on the arms. No elbows whatsoever. But at least you can flip these out so he can shoot water. Cold and hot water. And at least he has leg articulation. 3 clicks forward. Nothing at the back because there is a stopper there, but you can force it so you can get some illegal friction back. Leg articulation that far. And the knees. Yeah, the knees all the way for the transformation. And only 1 click spread because I think there's a stopper inside and outside. I mean, I think the square stopper wouldn't impair that, but there's something inside there that's keeping this thing from going to full spread. I think for good reasons, just to make sure this thing doesn't keep flopping under its own weight, even with ratchets. Yeah, at least he has better leg articulation than Ultimax. But still not very articulated for a big bot. And the Guardian's a pretty big bot, like a big neighborhood Guardian. And a tiny little bot, tiny little police bot there. I think he might be slightly smaller in the show, at least in robot mode, but yeah, sometimes the scale's not that consistent. But I think it's fine to have him just like a big brawler, just a big Guardian, big boy. Guardian may be overloaded with gimmicks like a dino mode and a spring-loaded automatic combination mode, but at least he has much more playability than Ultimax. They retail for the same price, but this has more value because you can do more with this. A little robot, a little dino robot, slightly more articulation, and you can put it in with most of your smaller toys. Also, shame there was not one single team-up episode with these two side by side together. These two similar but a little different Carbots. I guess they could have been in the Proto Season 9, but I guess when they just reworked the script and animation, I guess they just dropped out Ultimax. And I guess with all the new Bang Carbots, I guess they didn't have room for the Carbots newly introduced in Season 9, except for the fan favorite Pentastorm and the Golden Member Power Cruiser. None of the other guys appeared. I really would recommend Guardiant over Ultimax here because of this brickiness, but still, I get it that really very few would try to get this thing outside of Korea because it's still a little pricey and premium and pretty limited. It's another police car and fire truck, but at least they did something to it to make it a little different. If it's a little goofy, I guess it could be a short-lived novelty, but at least it's a novelty.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe and tune in for more Korean stuff.